like to call to order the Peabody Planning Board meeting scheduled for November 18, 2021 at 7 o'clock at the Wigan Auditorium, Peabody City Hall, 24 Lowell Street. First order of business is the minutes of the October 21st meeting will be presented to the next meeting with the minutes from this meeting. A&R and Land Court.
None.
68 Prospect Street.
Mr. Chair, I had spoken with Attorney Kelty, who is representing the applicants there, and I was also spoken with Department of Public Services themselves. I'm going to hand you out each of the board members the hard copies if they want, but I've also passed out the digital copies of it as well. If anybody wants one, I can pass it out. But there's two memos, one dated November 10th from Mr. Politz at the Department of Engineering, laying out that they have seen changes on the project. They were awaiting plans, which I think came this week. Then there's a second memo that came yesterday from Mr. Politz. Again, these are all both in your packets, laying out that he, and I had spoken with Will as well, that he's chatted with the applicants. They are coming to meet with him. They're just finalizing a date. I think it's going to be early next week that they'll meet and discuss the project further and the changes that need to be made. So at the moment, that's the update for that project. If anyone wants a hard copy, I have them.
This will be continued from this meeting to the next meeting. 13 Corwin Street.
Yep. Also update on that. We received back some of the third-party reviews comments, and I have a memo that, again, was in your packets, but it's the Department of Public Services responses to the traffic and site access. If anybody wants a hard copy of that, I do have it here. And then on top of that, we also received back a set of plans that show some changes along with the response, to peer review comments. If anybody wants that, I have that hard copy. I also forwarded digital copies to everybody, but I have a hard copy and a set of plans if anybody wants. So they're waiting their final review right now from the Department of Public Services. I would believe that they'll probably be back at the next meeting with not a decision, but potentially a memo from Department of Public Services. Does anybody want hard copies?
Okay. Appointments. So.
Mr. Chair and the Planning Board, Attorney Ankleys, who's here present tonight, had reached out to me regarding one of the plots and buildings or pads over at the mall, 210 Andover Street, and that he was requesting a modification to it. In discussion to him, I said, Attorney Ankleys, I think it would be best if you came to the board and presented your modification and let the board decide on if it's minor or not, and to proceed. So in everybody's packets, digitally, there was a letter. I also have a hard copy if anybody wants to look at it in front of them. I can pass that out as well.
You may start to present. Thank you.
David Ankleys. I practice law at 246 Andover Street here in Peabody, and I represent the North Shore Mall. In regard to this matter, originally the site plan, to be as fast and as brief as possible and as concise, the original site plan for this particular pad, which is the last building to be built up at the North Shore Mall, contained or was to contain a building of approximately 5,989 square feet. And it was to be laid out so that it was parallel to Route 114. In other words, the access of the building would run east-west. They have now twisted the building so that it runs north-south. They have reduced the size of the building down to 5,000 square feet, and they have produced an additional 9 parking spaces. I think it's an improvement, but it's still a modification. I think that I needed to present to this board simply because, again, the building is a little bit smaller and it runs north-south as opposed to east-west. If there are any questions with regard to that, I'd be happy to answer them. My thought is that it's a minor modification and an improvement, and that it did not require additional site plan review. And it was my hope that you would agree with that and we could proceed on that basis.
Hearing that, any questions from the board?
So the reason for the modification is, so the front of the building faces 114 now? Was that it? Because it's not south?
The front of the building still faces Route 114, but the rectangle, it now runs east-west as opposed to north-south. And the building is about, almost 1,000 square feet smaller, and results in an additional 9 parking spaces being available. It kind of improves the traffic pattern. But again, it was a modification that I felt I should bring to the board before allowing the client to go forward.
Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, the only question I would have, because in comparing the two plans, the new one shows the parking spaces. The old one that I have does not. And I take your word for it that it increases the parking spaces, but I'm just wondering whether or not to turn into the spaces that are closest to Andover Street. It is a difficult turn with that building located where it is in relation to those I assume they're 9-foot spaces.
No, I think if you take a good look at it, Attorney Abenitis, you'll see that there's a good 24 feet between the berm in front of the building and we have about 15 feet, so we've got a good 9 feet to back up into and turn there. I know that the print is very small on the 8.5 by 11, but we believe that there's enough room there for somebody to turn up, to back up and come and go in a westerly direction there. You're not going in both directions, so we felt as though that was sufficient.
I welcome comments of anybody else on the board, because maybe this is not my forte, but it looks like you're coming in and you're going to turn into one of those spaces. You've got 9 feet before you hit the space to do it. So if it's full of cars, it sounds like someone's going to have to pull in and then back up and pull in and then finally slide into the space. I mean, I could be wrong, but it just looks tight to me. So that's all. Just a comment.
Mm-hmm. I think maybe you might help solve that problem or address the issue if you relegate those 3 or 4 parking spaces at the end to compact vehicles.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Dave, I'm just out of curiosity, really. When we first came and we did the site plan review, was the urgent care the original use of the pad site building, or wasn't that where the old Sears was and something else was on the street? Or was this always the use of this building?
This particular pod has never been designated as anything up until this particular tenant came forward. We had Chase There was talk at one time that it would be a jeweler's building or something of that nature, but nothing ever materialized, and now it's urgent care.
Tom? Hi. I don't have a problem with this change, and I do believe that it could be categorized as a minor change. The problem I have is that about 2.5 years ago, or closer to 3 years ago, David, when you came before us for the whole big, all the work, we were very specific that we wanted some lines painted on Cross Street. And I'm thinking that all the paint must be on a cargo ship somewhere out in the ocean, because there's no paint out there. They were supposed to delineate a turn lane out of that lot, out of the North Shore Mall lot, out to Cross Street. And it splits. If you want to go down the hill on Cross, you were in the right lane. If you want to go across Cross Street to take a left and go towards Prospect, you stayed straight. And they were supposed to delineate a lane so that a car can be turning out while another car is going past them. There's plenty of room on Cross Street to do that. I don't understand why it takes so long. Drew, maybe 9 months ago, Drew printed out a drawing for me. I called Mark Whiting. What's the story, Mark? What's taking so long? And he said something about that, oh, well, we don't want to bring someone in just to do that. We want to do all the painting at once. So can we please do that?
I'm unaware of the deficiency, but
Well,
I
if
will
you-
most
if you-
certainly...
If you communicate with Mark Whiting, I'm sure he is aware of it.
I most certainly will go to Mr. Whiting. I think what we're at now, Mr. Smoys, is the end of construction at this point in time, and I think that they are wrapping it up. I will immediately, in the morning, contact Mr. Whiting and find out why the striping hasn't been done at this point in time. I'm pretty sure that it's probably somewhere on his list to get done. He's always followed through.
Yep, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
I just have a couple. Dave, I see you have a trash area where the dumpster's gonna be.
Andrew, I'm going to have to look at your lips.
I see the trash area, and then there's a crosshatched area. Is that just nothing right there?
Yes.
Just crosshatched, no parking, nothing? Okay.
Are you referring to this?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Second question is, it looks like the parking lot that's abutting 114 stays about the same shape, almost. There's a box on the original T, it's labeled. It's not shown on the new one. Is that an issue? I think it must be a transformer. Is the transformer just being moved somewhere?
I have the answer if you like.
Okay, that's even better.
That there is one transformer for both of those buildings, not one for each, one for both. They are going to share a transformer. The transformer's already there, and it's feeding the Chase Bank, so it's not moving.
The one that's shown on the original plan is already there? I take it that's what the T is on
Like,
this?
it's, yes. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's exactly there, but I assure you there is a transformer there feeding the Chase Bank, and that exact same transformer will be used to feed this facility. It will not get its own transformer.
Okay, so I take it this will not affect that
Again,
I take it this new proposal will not affect that transformer placement? I'm talking about this one,
That's the one for Tesla.
and then I don't see it on this plan.
Drew, I think it exists to the rear right of Chase Bank. On the original plan, there's another small T as you drive in off.
Oh, yep, I see exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think,
I'm sorry, I
right.
didn't follow.
There's two. There's one right here, there's one over here. So,
as far as I know, I really don't believe that the transformer for Chase Bank was put in that, where it is, where it's drawn.
which location? The one that's closest to the main entrance or the one that's closest to the
Are
the
you talking
proposed
about the
urgent care?
original drawing? The one that says original on it? Okay. And where is the T on that? Is it over by the number 10 for the designating 10 parking spots?
Fortunately, they're both next to the 10. There's one that's closest to the main entrance exit.
Right. Well, I'm pretty sure that the transformer that's going to feed both facilities is over by where you see two 10s right next to each other. Do you see the two rows of parking says 10 and 10? Pretty sure in one of those traffic islands is where the transformer is, and it's going to feed both facilities. It's like a 6 by 6 by 5 foot high green box.
Am I wrong, Roy? But we go by what Municipal Light would like to have us do on that most of the
Yeah,
time.
and we'll just have you. Yeah, no, it's all ready to go, and then whoever wires this new building will just go to that transformer and feed their facility from there.
The snow storage, is snow storage proposed to be at that crosshatched area? Is that where it's gonna be?
Yes.
Okay. That's all our questions. I did forward this to the Department of Public Services. I didn't hear any feedback from them. I would recommend that you probably talk with the building department about this and show them this plan, because it will be now different than what was before. So just want that to be put out there. And it doesn't, have you talked to fire at all?
A new what?
To fire department at all?
Yes, they have, they've reviewed this plan in connection with the building inspector.
The new plan,
The new plan, they have seen it.
they have seen it, there was no issues?
Not that we're aware, that I'm aware of, Andrew.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware.
Can I have a recommendation from the board?
I'd make a recommendation that we approve this minor change as depicted on the drawings.
All those in favor?
I'll second that, and, yeah.
Unanimous.
I will confirm that for you, Andrew. With the fire department, to the best of my knowledge. Excuse me, he has run this by, but. Thank you.
As part of City Council's distribution of special permits, this was presented to the board. I believe Attorney Ankleys is also representing this applicant as well, so you have the luxury of him being here if anybody was to have any questions.
Questions from the board?
I'm kind of curious, is this something that is to replace the existing one that's out on Route 1?
This, from what I understand, Massport closed down the Logan Express on the southbound lane going into Boston. And this site is to replace that location. It is temporary in nature. In other words, the buildings that are being constructed to serve people are going to be temporary, if in fact the special permit is granted. And the reason for that is because from what I understand, it was a hurried decision, and there was an awful lot of pressure requests for Logan Express to be replaced. And North Shore Mall was approached by Massport to use the location shown on the plans here. If you recall, that's where the circus was located. And there are about 305 parking spaces there when you take out what you're going to use for the temporary structures, the office, the bathrooms, and the small shelter that they're going to put there. I think you end up with somewhere around 287 spaces. You still have access and egress as shown and on the plan and as currently exists, and we preserve access and egress to what is now Rockland Trust, formerly East Boston Savings Bank. But it's there. The request is being made, or the request for the application for the special permit is being made pursuant to request by our local representatives, Representative Walsh, Representative Carranz, and Senator Lovely, and Massport. And again, the reason that it's temporary is because no one has really had enough time to put together a really cohesive plan for any permanent type structures, and it may in fact continue beyond the 1 year that we're asking for, but we don't know whether it's going to be in the same location, and we don't know whether it's going to be of the same nature. In other words, we don't know whether there's going to be a building built, a permanent building built, and that, of course, all depends upon what happens with the economy, retail, et cetera, and the uses that are made of some of the space that's available up at the North Shore Mall, and whether or not Massport believes that it's a viable use or a viable location. So I guess my response is, I don't know whether that's adequate, but that's pretty much where we stand.
No, I appreciate it. It's just kind of curious why they'd walk away from a parcel of land that they already own on Route 1. And to me, the only thing that makes any sense is the jug handle. And the stop traffic every single morning because of the jug handle. And by going down 128, you miss the jug handle.
Yeah.
So
I'm not privy to
I know.
to that at all.
Yep.
So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you for your presentation. Any other matters before the board?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to communicate to Drew that I think the past 3 out of 4 meetings that we've had, our quorum has been 5. 5. If one of us didn't show up tonight, this would be continued. I really think that we need to send another message to the mayor that, alternate positions should be filled. We don't want to, postpone any activity in the coming year, and it would be great to have a couple extra people available to sit and vote.
Drew, if you could formulate a letter for the next meeting that all the board members could sign, directed to the mayor, requesting emergency replacement. Okay? Any other matters before the board?
Excuse me, sir, are you here for a matter with the planning board? So at the beginning of the meeting, we provided that they're still waiting back some reviews with our Department of Engineering, so they were not attending this meeting. You'll have to check the agenda, and you can always call my office and Community Development Planning Office for an update, but they should be back at the next meeting. But they're just still going to reviews right now. Yep.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Aye.